All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. So, my name is Martha Alter Hines, and I have two special guests today who already are making me cry. So, in a good way. I'm having a little hard time talking because we just went into prayer together and it was really touched me. Um, yes, so I'm here with Amanda Lorin and Jennifer Flores, and they are of the Sisterhood of Mu. Am I getting that correct? Yes. The Sisterhood of Mu. And they were actually recommended to me by Ke'oni Hanalei. They're also connected to Natasha, who some of you are familiar with. And so we're going to get into the question of what is the Sisterhood of Mu in a minute, but I want to hand this to Amanda first, who I think is going to take us into ceremonial space. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Martha. Appreciate being here with you and being able to share our medicine with your amazing audience. So, kia ora, everybody. I'm Amanda Lorin. I'm inviting us all to just close down our eyes for a moment to allow ourselves to consent to being in this space, allowing our consciousness, our beingness, our divinity to settle within the body. I invite you to keep your chin held high if you feel called to do so. And as we move into this space, I will be speaking in my native tongue of Te Reo Māori. That's the prayer that I'm going to invoke. But up until then, I invite us all to bring our consciousness down into our feet, allowing our beingness to land here, into the toes, and into the space in between. Can you allow yourself the presence, the mindfulness, and the imagery of your toes connecting to the floor or ground beneath you? Here we give thanks for this moment in time together, regardless of when and where you are watching this video. We give thanks to the lands of which we live, work, and love upon, whether they are our lands of birth, of our lineage, or lands that we have grown up in, lands that we have chosen as home. We give thanks to the ancestors that walk these lands, that support us and guide us and hold us here in safety and faith and encouragement. We give thanks to our breath, our medicine of life. And may we be so aware of our breath and its ability to heal every aspect of our being through intention alone. We give thanks to yesterday and the days before and anticipate the days to come, whilst being very solid and fluid in the present moment now. Inviting you to take a deep breath, feeling your body and landing here with us. He tangata wairua, he tangata aroha, he tangata rongo. He awa pari tātou te aho no te atua. Ka mai maharatia o tātou tipuna, pupuritia te pono i roto i o tātou manua. Whaka atutia ki a tātou te huarahi ki te ora. Tohu tohutia tātou kia whae te māramatanga kia mārama. Whaka ohotia tātou kia whae take ai tātou mahi katoa. Ho mai te whirikoka kia tukaha kia tumaya. Whaka maramatia mai ki a tātou e te whakawhiataitia na mea katoa. A whenatia tātou ki te koha me te aroha tētahi ki tētahi. Tuia i runga, tuia i raro, tuia i roto, tuia i waho, tuia te here tangata. Ka rongo te pō, ka rongo te ao. Haumi e, hui e, tai ki e. Inviting in a deep breath. allowing that invocation to land. I invite my beautiful sister Jen to say our next prayer.
Keeping your eyes closed, it's allowing you to feel your heartbeat in the safety of your womb. And if you want, you can place your left hand on your womb and your right hand on your heart as we receive this prayer of our Sisterhood of Mu. Our sisterhood is not just a gathering, it is a remembering, the solidifying, the embodiment of the mother, the origin of life herself, the pulse of the divine feminine flowing through our bones, echoing in our voices, carried by the winds of our ancestors. And they make it known that we are not separate, that wherever we come from, our stories braid themselves together like woven lauhala, spiraling into one sacred circle, always. And in this great va'a, this canoe of this existence, we row together. Each stroke uniquely ours, yet the rhythm is shared, carrying us into the infinite all. Our sisterhood, this coven, is not just a place we come to. It is the breath between moments, the pause, the slowness, the stillness that births the most authentic flow. Here we remember who we are beneath the noise. Here we hold the sacred vibration of our becoming, and here we are the whole heart. And it is from this frequency of love that we rise, not alone, not separate, but as one. Taking a deep breath in, receiving that prayer in the heart and in the womb. And as you exhale, just letting it fully land in your body, feeling it in your cells and in your memories. Aloha ma.
Aloha masas. Thank you.
Beautiful. Is that complete, that part?
Yes. Thank you.
Mhm. Well, I have a feeling that people are wondering, what is the Sisterhood of Mu? Do you want to and maybe you can start with what is Mu and what is Sisterhood of Mu? And you want to kind of just go with the flow, starting with there?
Yeah, I think so. What we usually would love to do too is introduce ourselves and then we'll talk
Oh,
about
yes,
Mu
yes,
as well.
that too. Go for it. Mhm.
It's where we come from because it has so much to do with Mu.
Yeah.
So, Sis, I don't know if you want to start introducing yourself or if you want me to start. Okay. Mabuhay. Aloha, everybody. So my name is Jennifer Flores. I am born and raised here in Chochage, Montreal, Canada, on Mohawk and Anishinaabe lands. My roots are from the Austronesian people of Maharlika or pre-colonial Philippines, as well as Tonga, Europe, Southeast Asia. I am a mother raising my family on the spirits of Aloha Ma principles. And my practice is called Living Kuleana, which means to live in your sacred responsibility. And what I do is I guide women to return to their emotional peace, their emotional clarity, to embody their spirituality, and to remember what their sacred purpose is as a divine, intuitive leader. And I'll have Sis also introduce herself before we get into what Mu is for us.
Thank you, sis. Appreciate that. Tēnā koutou katoa. Ko putawaki rawa ko kōpaki o kumanga. Ko rangitai ki rawa ko waikato o kuawa. He uru tēnei ngō Ngāti Awa no Ngāti Tahu Ngāti Whawa. He Amanda Lorin, Marcia Cook, tōke ingoa. So, hello everybody. I hail from the lands of Aotearoa, New Zealand. The ancestral links into Ngāti Awa and Ngāti Tahu Ngāti Whawa. My lineage also stems into Finland, into Sweden, into the UK, Scotland, and I've got a bit of Samoan and a bit of Hawaiian floating around in there as well, which I'm very blessed to have. I just wanted to take a moment just quickly to acknowledge, for the first time ever, I've introduced myself with my whole name. I am known as Amanda Lorin in the outer world. From birth and within my family, I'm Amanda Lorin Marcia Cook. And I decided to bring the wholeness of my name into today because I wanted to acknowledge my lineage through the name of my grandmother, who is Marcia Cook. She was my dad's mum, and my dad was a teenager when she passed, so I didn't get to meet her, Atinana, so like in this realm, but Our Wairua in the spirit realm, she has walked with me, and I'm blessed to hold that name. And as far as I know, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one in my family that holds her name. So it's very, very precious to me. And through the talk that we'll go through as well, and my own lineage work has stemmed a lot from Marcia and her lineage back. So yeah, seeing her over there. Thanks, Nan. I just felt very cool to share that today. But yeah, thank you. There.
I love how the grandmothers are always guiding us. And, my whole story is based on my grandmother's messages and why I'm here today, why I'm here in the seat, why I'm here meeting everybody. She's been just leading me on such a beautiful journey. So to speak into Mu and how this even came about for us, the first memories that I started to have of Mu was when I was 13, when I first traveled to Maui, Hawaii. And I was young, and there was just something when I landed on the islands that pulled me and just said, it was like this feeling of comfort, of nurturing, of love, and just like this welcoming. And my father at the time was working for an airline, so we used to travel back and forth to Hawaii almost every year. And there was not one year that we missed to go back to Hawaii. It just kept calling us, and I didn't know what it was. There was this energy that I didn't understand. Like I was like, I'm not even Hawaiian. I don't understand why it's calling me so much. And then over the years, time passed, and my grandmother passed away. She's always been my kind of spirit guide. And one day she told me, you have to look for a Native Hawaiian mentor. And I said, that's very specific. So I went on a journey of my own spiritual healing. And eventually in my 20s, I went on, the more yoga path, meditative path. And then in around COVID times of 2020 is when this message was very clear. And so I started to look for mentors in Hawaii, found one that didn't completely give me the vibration or the frequency that I was looking for. And so I kept searching. And then Ke'oni Hanalei popped into my field. And the first conversation that I had witnessed him in was with my other mentor, Nina Camille. And that's how I discovered more about this thing called Mu. And I wasn't like 100% sure what that was. I wasn't even tuned into Lemuria at that time. And whoever was maybe speaking on Lemuria, it felt very like wishy-washy and not very grounded. But Ke'oni had this way of really grounding the essence of Mu in, and I started to understand it for my own. And so, long story short, in a mentorship with him called Aloha Ma, it brought us into right relationship of ourselves, this self-reflective love. And that had activated and invited me into more memories of the right relationship that I, need to connect with my ancestry, the right relationship that I need to be in the frequency of Mu. And so this energy that we're going to speak about now is, what is Mu? Mu to us, and what we've kind of remembered together and through Aloha Ma and through Ke'oni, is this frequency of love, this pure universal love. And what I'm also bringing into the field is, yes, it is a frequency, but it's a consciousness. It's a state of wholeness. It's a state of being that we're asked to return to. And it's this remembrance of unity, of sacred reciprocity with the earth, and of embodied leadership of this divine feminine essence that lives within all of us. And so this memory of Mu didn't just feel like a continent. It didn't feel just like a place. It just felt like this vibration that was holding everything. And, we speak about how it sunk and vanished. And I never believed that it actually completely vanished. I don't believe that the frequency was completely lost. I feel that bits and pieces of it have been lingering around, just waiting for us to remember what it is, and to return to that. And now, louder than ever, because of everything, the state of the world is asking for us to remember what pure love is. And that's all the encompassment of all emotions, the dark, the light, the shadow, the blissfulness, and to be in acceptance of all of it, and to be able to be in a space where we know how to negotiate with it, where we know how to not be in this reactive mode or shut down, but allowing ourselves to really see it and hold it. And when I'm reminded of this holding space, it reminds me of the mother. And the mother is this beautiful being, this energy that when she births life, she watches the ceremony. She watches the ceremony of that life evolve and spiral and evolve. And she sees the beauty and the ups and downs of the life that she's created. And I feel like Mu is just this origin place that we all come from. And the mother, Mu, is watching us and guiding us to return to love. So that's my personal take, also some of the take, and I am sure Sister Amanda has her own take on Mu as well.
Thank you so much, sis. Yeah, she took me back to some remembrances of myself as growing up through like, oh, there was that bit there and there was that bit there and Mu showed up here and Mu showed up there. And it wasn't until our connection and connecting with Ke'oni that I really started to wrap it all together in my head. But like you says, there were the Lemuria felt really wishy-washy for me too. But I have had quite a long time with the awareness of Lemuria. And we have this, because I'm from Aotearoa, I'm from New Zealand. So there we have this feeling and this essence and this echo of that frequency here. And we can see it in the people when they become passionate about who we are and where we come from, how we've come from a land called Hawaii, and now we're voyaged throughout all of the islands and like reaching into the lineages of everybody here that for me, we have been trying to be stewards for that. And I think back to my journey up until even today, where I had these inclinations to latch on to like First Nations, like Native American practices, or just want to be in those types of spaces and listen to that music. And I've had this thing about Peru my whole life, and like the voyages, and it all started to make sense when I landed into this is what Mu is. Like this is an encompassing thing. We are all Mu. And like and then of course finding out that through my own remembrance, before I even knew this, like academically, I already knew that as I remember the voyages up the islands and into Taiwan. Remember seeing the people go over to America and us on the waka. I saw it all take place and everybody start to come into these lands. And so it's been, for me, a lineage journey, a lineage back to Mu. I have had my own ins and outs when it comes to the frequency of love. Like, oh, we don't need that. Like, obviously that's not true, but sometimes, throughout my life, there have been moments where it kind of seemed fruitless. But coming all the way back around to the devotion in love, like that's what I was missing, was the devotion in love, the devotion in ceremony, being a living ceremony myself and having Mu speak through me instead of being outside of me. Because I saw it as like, oh, Lemuria was a thing that happened thousands and thousands of years ago. And like, I'm pretty sure I link into it somehow and da 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 da. And it was like, it was always over there. But the more I've come into remembrance of myself and even the journeys throughout my bloodlines, it all comes back to Mu. And like you says, as soon as I met Ke'oni as well, I was like, holy moly, like, he's the one. He's the guy. He knows what he's talking about. And I'll just give a little bit of like synchronistic whakapapa. So whakapapa in my language means lineage or genealogy, but we use it as a way to reference how we, or the path in which we found something. So the origin story. So I remember finding Ke'oni very randomly, but it was through a series of different people. Like I remember sitting on the couch looking at emails. I'm like, oh, Deborah Silverman sent an email. I hadn't looked at her emails like at all, but for some reason it was this one I needed to read. And she was talking to Isis Indria. So I was like, oh, this looks cool. She's Egyptian, like Egyptian soul lineage. And so I was really into that because lineage in Egypt, who wouldn't be? And then I was like, okay, cool. So I followed Isis on Instagram and then I saw in her stories Tori Feldman. And I was like, okay, what's this? They're doing a talk. I went to the Sacred Ancestry Summit and there was Ke'oni. And I was like, he looks Polynesian. Like, think like I need to watch that one because I feel that resonance of family. So I actually only watched Isis's one and Ke'oni's, I think. Oh, and the grandmother elder, I saw hers as well, and there was so many beautiful people, but I was like, I just got really hooked on Ke'oni, and so that's how I ended up in that space. And then Ulu came up, and then I found Jennifer through that. I stalked her, to be honest, so that, like out of love because I just thought she was so bloody amazing. Yeah, and I was like, I want to know this lady. It started off because I thought she was Ke'oni's sister, and I'm like, oh cool, I can like be friends with her. She's Ke'oni's sister. Anyway. I'm digressing, but essentially, like honoring the whakapapa of how Mu came to be in my world and how it has been anchored in since meeting Ke'oni and meeting Jennifer, and how it's all kind of like created itself essentially from where I feel it has happened. It's all came through. It's not something that's been forced, it's been created, just happened, right? So we're like, how are we like friends only just for a few months and it feels like we've known each other our whole lives? And in our first call, our first meeting, we were like, we should make a sisterhood. Like, it's happening. Like, it'll just all happen. And here we are.
Yeah, it just felt like a Moo soul family reunion with everybody. That's just been, it's
Legit.
been unfolding that way anyway for us.
Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then even honoring the lineages of which we come from and having those connections. Like, what? Your lineage did that too? Mine did that. And we link over here and we link over there. It's just like,
Right, yeah,
yeah.
because the Austronesian people have been kind of like the elders of the Polynesians. And so we're
Mhm.
linked from the Philippines down to Tonga and to Aotearoa and from Taiwan as well, that went through the Philippines down into Polynesia and out. So we're all related, we're all cousins.
Yeah, we're all family around here.
Yeah. Well, the human race, we're all family anyway, right? So
Absolutely.
Oh, beautiful. Do you want to just keep going or
well, sis, I actually want to know, do you have any memories, of well, maybe what we're sharing in your own experience?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, sure. I'm relating a lot. I mean, in different part of the world, but I was telling you before we got on that I was born in Thailand and I grew up in Bangladesh, Pakistan, Kenya, and the United States. So I feel like I grew up kind of in the region next to, right on the outskirts of the region you're describing. And now I live in I live right on the coast of California, like walking to the ocean. So I feel like my experiences have kind of all been, on the borders of this amazing region you guys are talking about. But my personal, like, especially Amanda, when you're talking about remembering the voyages and remembering seeing people leaving and all of that, I in myself I was going, yep, 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 yep. Not those kind of exact memories, but I'm trying to think, why am I nodding? I mean, so for me, my most alive DNA lineage is really Scottish, and so my great grandfather immigrated from Scotland to the United States, from the Western Isles of Scotland. So yeah, so when I go to that part of Scotland, first of all, the whole land comes alive. All kinds of spirit existences come alive, fairies and wind spirits, and the rocks start talking and all of those things, right? Um, and supposedly well, not supposedly, I'm sure it's true. In my lineage, in that part of my family, the women supposedly had second sight, right? So I'm assuming that's part of where I get who I am. And yeah, so for me, it's more that in that part of the world, at least, I have these memories of um like I remember myself literally as a spirit of the hills. And so it's like I can feel that in one of my many, 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 many dimensions. The way I experience life is that we simultaneously exist in infinite dimensions now, like all the time. So one of my very conscious existences is me as this feminine, literally a spirit of the hills. It's like she's like a spirit, the feminine, she's just like big, and um she's in the hills in this western coastal part of Scotland. Not a human. She's a spirit. Yeah. Um, Things like that. That's probably the closest thing I can say, conscious connection to what you're describing. And then I have lots and lots and lots and lots of other experiences all over the world, but a little bit different than lineage. But yeah, I really deeply relate to what you're describing. It's very beautiful. Amazing.
Yeah, and I love how that brought you back to your lineage of Scotland and your memories of the spirits in the rocks and the winds. And in my own culture in Maharlika, we also look to the spirits of, the environments, the plants, the beings. We're very connected to the underworld. So my and like the ancient ways of our people is through shamanism. And so we're very connected to the between worlds. And I think that's why a lot of us are very versed in shadow work, and why we're okay with bringing all of that up and making sure to transmute that and turn that back into love. But also using energy healing is one of the things that we've learned to do. It's called hilot. Hilot is an energy. It's kind of like massage and Reiki together. And so that's a practice that we do. I myself, I do Reiki and I do a bit of hands-on. I don't do the actual massage, but it's through my lineage as well that I've found that has come through. And something interesting that's related to, all of us and through the spirits of the plants and everything. And Ke'oni is that the ferns, he talks about the ferns a lot, that's in his lineage. That the ferns in my lineage, in my ancestral, if I go all the way back to the ancients, is that the ferns are the hair of the world, and that they hold the spirits of the unseen. And so for him, it's emotional medicine. For us, they're guides. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and another thing that's making me think of is how beautiful and important it is that we tap into and then honor the diversity, right? That it's not identical. And
Yeah.
I even think of I mostly want to hear you guys talk. So I'll just say this one little thing, but then I just want to really hand it over. But yeah, when I have been all over the world, that I see earth spirits, etc., wherever they are, basically. But what's so interesting to me, fascinating, is that they are so distinct to the place, right? It's like just like there are different literal plants, you have a different ecosystem in every part of the world. Um, the beings are very distinct. Like the elves in Iceland are very different than the earth beings in Scotland. Like so drastically different. I've never seen elves. They're in the ones in Iceland, the way I see them is very tall and thin, like not what I would normally think of as an elf. But in other parts of the world, even here, the part of coastal California where I live is Chumash land, coastal Chumash land, and there's being these little people who they're different ecosystems, even 5 miles away from each other. There are little people who live in the kind of, you could say, wetlands and the valleys, and then there are a totally different kind of little people in the mountains, right? Very distinct, like they're different communities basically.
Mhm.
And yeah, very just amazing, and feels so important to honor all of it, every single one. And yeah, that they are distinct and we're not trying to like squish everything into one truth or something. It's like,
No,
yeah.
yeah, it's just very, very parallel. I feel like there's a lot of resonance, yet so unique. And I think that's also speaking into, what we're trying to achieve also by bringing up this frequency of love, is that it's really rooted also in your own authentic being of how you express love, right? Because essentially what this medicine is all about, what people do medicine for, is to bring you back to that state. We're born of love, and we're leaving love behind for the next generation.
Beautiful.
I'm just sitting with a memory of a fairy.
Oh, I want to
Yeah.
hear. I don't know if you want to
So
share, but I would love to hear.
just with the earth beings, if you don't mind me just popping back to that, we call the fairies here patupaerehe, and they are generally quite cheeky, and they like steal things from you and give you a hard time if you're not in right relationship to the area. And what was real, what really stood out for me was that they are known to have red hair. They're like Ed Sheeran type red hair, and that makes me think of Scotland and the surrounding areas in Ireland where they have. I mean, I've never been there, so I could be wrong. Please, everyone, correct me if I'm wrong. But my thought process is like it's from over. They're from over there. So just bringing that link of like, although there is. Oh yeah, I'm just thinking leprechauns. Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Um, even though Aotearoa, New Zealand is all the way over here on this side of the world, Southern Hemisphere, like literally the other side of the world, we have those links to the lands of Scotland and Ireland through our earth beings, that we share those frequencies. And there were remembrances, and this is written in academia as well, around the first settlers in New Zealand being people of fair skin and red hair. Now, and then they went to the South Island, and they're known as the second siders, or like the matakete, those with the very, very spiritual, very, very clairvoyant peoples. And they were actually here first, before the Maori, before the Moriori, and they became the Patupaerehe, the fairies, and the earth beings that reside here. Yeah, so I just wanted to echo that and reflect that back, like what you were saying, Martha, about your lineage and your links to Scotland, and how you see your you see the earth beings along with the connection to that, like you guys we're here first sort of thing. So it's just a real interesting how it all kind of plays out that way, and like although on the other side of the world has actually been represented here in Aotearoa as well. Yeah, just thought I'd
That
share
is
that.
exquisite. That's amazing. I feel so drawn. That's a part of the world I have not been to, but my heart is, right there. So that's really interesting. Wow. Hmm.
Or when you're ready to come over, I've got a spare bed.
Someday I definitely, definitely, definitely up there for sure. Wow. Beautiful. Well, my instinct is, but you guys lead the way. Do you want to now explain what is Sisterhood of Mu specifically?
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to also just circle back on the fairies, what we call them in the Philippines or Maharlika is diwata. And diwata are they're nature spirits, and they reside in the mountains and in the forests. And what's cool about them is that they don't have a gender. They're just, and what's cool about our vocabulary, our language is we don't have feminine, masculine. So if I speak to talking about someone, I would say sha, and that would just be it. There is no he or she, feminine, masculine, it says sha. And so when we think into the diwata, the fairies, it's just one.
Mm.
So that I think resonates also with just the energy that we're all trying to achieve is this non-duality, this non-polarity, and just bringing it in together and knowing that we are both from the masculine, from the feminine in energies, and that we're just all one. And so I think that's what their essence is about for the Diwata.
Amazing.
Yeah. So Sisterhood of Mu. So Amanda and I, because we've been talking, like how we're talking right now, is all these remembrances and memories coming through that are being activated. We have been so activated since we met. And it's been almost every day. I think maybe there's just 1 or 2 days we haven't spoken since maybe March. So it's always been like, hey, remember this? Hey, I got this. And what do you think about this? And so these beautiful memories started coming up, and we started to realize they're very relatable and resonant with where we come from and where medicine is and what we're trying to bring forth in this world. And so we said, imagine that if only us two are talking about it, if we created this sisterhood and brought in others to talk about this memory of what we see for the world, which is to have different expressions and different modalities to root us in love, but to also express it out into the world. So it's really a space for women and feminine leaders across the world who are here to remember and reweave that wisdom of this time that we all remember when we lived in that pure universal energy of love and this reverence of the planet that we live on. Right now, if you think about it, there's hardly any reciprocity that's going on the general population. They don't really know what reciprocity truly means. They don't know what stewardship is, the inner and outer stewardship of this earth and what's required to do that. And so we truly want to bring people in who have resources and wisdom and are versed in these things, where we can create an ecosystem where we can bring that all back together. And so we created that space so that we can all remember those codes and the medicine that Mu is asking us to bring forward again. And we're really here just to uphold the frequency so that it doesn't get lost again and it doesn't vanish. We're on the precipice of that, collapse again. And we don't want that to happen. I don't think any of us want that to happen. And so it's almost like, I don't like to say urgency, but it's almost like, okay, we have to do it now or never. It's almost this time of wake up, big time. So within, thinking about the sisterhood of building this community for everyone welcome, even men, even whatever gender you identify with, whatever race you are, to come in and tell us, what are your memories? So we created the Facebook community. We have our Discord as well that we're just starting. But we started first off our council. So whenever I think, matriarchy, it always requires a council. And the council is here so that not one person is making decisions, but everyone has a hand in it. And we all make those decisions together. So we have a beautiful group of about a dozen women right now from across the world, from Canada, from Hawaii, from Aotearoa, from Australia, from the Americas. And most of them, if not everyone, have either DNA from Mu, the locations of Mu, or energetic memories of Mu. And so they're bringing back those memories. And we're having our first council call actually on the 7th of July. So it's going to be really, really exciting. And sis, we'd love to have you there too, to come into that call as well.
Do you know that that's the day that Uranus is entering Gemini?
Of course.
That's a very, very big astrological shift.
Can you share with us what that would mean, that whole shift that's happening on that day?
Well, I mean, I don't know yet, but we'll see. But I mean, stereotypically, it's like let's see. some of the things that I would associate with that. So Uranus to me is like helps us to align radically with our divine self, our divine truth. And Uranus, well, the other thing that's going on is that Uranus now, as it's moving into Gemini, is also with the Pleiades. So that feels really important to not say, yeah, I know, I know.
Of course.
I know,
We're
I'm
gonna
getting,
circle back to that soon. Oh, I got
oh,
it.
good. Oh,
Yeah.
yay. Yeah, I'm getting chills. So Uranus already is in the part of the sky where the Pleiades are. Uh, very, very close, right? Anyway, but yeah, but Uranus moving to Gemini, among other things, there might be, it's like an energy that might help us to come into a radical realigning in our relationship to story, to words, to communication, to ourselves as storytellers, even like the storytellers of, I'm getting chills. Wow. Like the truth, stories that are coming through the truth of the divine, with like really deeply aligned with our ourselves. I'm thinking of Ke'oni and his work with the spine, and I'm seeing like this golden rod of the spine, and the Uranus energy to me really helping us click in with that. Um, yeah, and then there's all kinds of other associations, Uranus and Gemini, I don't know. Anyway, more like during those years, certainly like AI is probably going to go boom, like really humongous, and that kind of thing. But yeah, but what's coming to me more about you guys is more maybe the storytelling alignment, radical alignment to come into new storytelling through us,
Mm.
as beings of the divine. But there's so many. So I just think it's amazing that you chose that day to, yeah, wow.
It's
I don't
funny
know.
because we don't really choose our days. This has been our like theme for everything we've been going through. Is Whispers, the offering that we're going to speak about later. Whispers of Remembrance was supposed to be in May, but was shifted because of certain things that were happening within our spheres. And then it ended up being the first week of June, which Natasha and us had spoken about in Whispers about the alignment of why it was on June, because it's time for us to face ourselves and to face and to be in commune with our ancestors and to speak to them. It brought up a lot of the shadow and all the things that are going to happen when you confront the shadow, and to come into that safety and come into that stillness to allow it to come through. And then with the retreat, it's on Lionsgate. I didn't pick that date. Felicia just said it just came to me, who's the producer of the retreat that we're doing. And it just, every date that we've been called to has been significant in terms of alignments of the cosmos. And so this is for me Mu speaking, because it's so connected to the stars.
And I would just say again, there's so many different ways to do this, but I personally, even though I'm an astrologer, I basically pretty much never, I wouldn't say never, 99.99999% of the time, I do not plan things based on astrology. I go into my praying, I get told by them what to
Yeah.
do, and then I look at the astrology and I go, oh my God,
Yeah.
how did that happen? What?
That's basically what happened.
That's beautiful. Hmm.
I can even share about today being, because today here in Aotearoa is the new year. It's Matariki, and Matariki is the Pleiades. So we've gone, yeah, yeah. So you see that, I'm like, oh, yeah. Hold on, there's something else here. Yeah. So for us here in Aotearoa, our New Year's Day, or the start of the new year, is when you can start to see Matariki or the Pleiades over the horizon just before dawn. So, and that's this week. And today's like the public holiday. So that was chosen. But it was just interesting how like we had actually planned this call for another day. And then we've actually come to here, and I've spent like every day this week in witness of a hotapu. So a hotapu is like the morning nourishment that we offer to Matariki throughout the 2 weeks between the full moon and the new moon. And yes, and then today lands in on the public holiday where after this, I'm literally going with my family to celebrate Matariki and the rising of the Pleiades. So it's
Mm.
like, yeah, that's such a big constellation in terms of where I'm from. It was one of our biggest guiding constellations, and we have remembrances within our DNA that we whakapapa, like we lineage from the Pleiades, and that's where we call home. And yeah, so when you said that Uranus is sitting with the Pleiades right now, I was just like, huh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
I'm actually just gonna look at the transits right this second because I feel like
Beautiful.
uh, I
I'm
think
getting chilled, and I was dancing earlier. I'm like, of course it is.
wait, yeah, I think it was, I mean it's hang on, I'm trying to find Uranus on my screen. Where is Uranus? There, oh yep. Yeah. So it would so the Pleiades, I don't personally get this exact about it, but technically the Pleiades are considered 29 degrees of Taurus, 0 degrees of Gemini, and 1 degree of Gemini. And Uranus is now at 29 degrees, 9 minutes of Taurus. So in other words, they would have Uranus just has been exact with the Pleiades in the last couple of days. But yeah, it's going to be going back and forth with the Pleiades for the coming year, the whole coming year. But starting like now, like right now.
Mhm.
Mm,
I love that you say
yeah,
going back and
100%.
forth and back and forth because it almost feels like it's resourcing Matariki or Makali'i, right, in Hawaiian or the Pleiades, because that is connected to Mu, obviously. And so it's
Mm,
just this, I feel like what's happening is this like referencing from Mu, even the dates that are being picked that are not, intentionally us picking it, that they just tend to fall on these days and that it's meant to be. And also, women to women, first day of my heavy bleed is today. And I turned into a half moon bleeder, which usually it was a new moon before. It was full moon earlier this year. And now it's half moon where we're going through this transition point so for me, when I feel into half moon bleed, it's you're going from an old timeline to a new one. So there's this transition point. And I feel like right now we are also in a transition point where even with the Pluto retrograde happening, that we're asked to complete the cycles of the old patterning, of the old systems, of the old ways of doing things, and really bringing in the not so new, but bringing in the ancient and modernizing it for our times. And this is also like what Sisterhood of Mu is about, is to bring the ancient back, but make it relatable for the times right now. So like what we speak about in our council and what the women are skilled in and trained in are, things that go from motherhood, um, matriarchal values. We have reform in education and health. We have Indigenous rights and land back. We have holistic healing, health reform, support for families, especially mothers after they go through birth and what postpartum can look like. Midwives, bringing back that old practice of the midwife. My great grandmother was a midwife, and how it is needed versus what we're experiencing now in the modern days, where it just feels so disconnected and not intentional in the way that we're doing things. Like the kind of Western modern ways feel very sterile. There's no real quality of life to it. Um, I think we all can feel that. And so we're really trying to bring everyone together. Because when I thought about it, I'm like, we need everybody. We need everybody to come together and build this. And we're not just building the sisterhood just to talk. We're actually wanting to move something. It's kind of revolutionary in a way, but really allowing ourselves to take our time with it and to make sure that we can prepare it and structure it so that we can move it forward into real life, into practicality.
So yes, being so how do people join? What does it mean to join? Like, can you answer, like, give some of
Yeah,
that?
so the community itself is free. So you can follow us on Instagram, you can get on the Discord, you can get on the community page, so we can give you all the links for that. But the council itself is people who are actually resourced or skilled in like the things that we want to bring forth. So let's say education, birthing, So motherhood, health, economy, um, horticulture, so sustainable living, creating your own food, land back, indigenous rights. So if anyone is versed in that and would like to contribute to the council and speak and kind of bring in something that they would like to, they feel is important to speak about, that needs change or reform, that they can have that voice. So there's an application process where they can fill that form out and join the sisterhood. So if anyone is interested and have skills or are trained in that or educated in that, or are living it right now, then we're really open to welcoming that, because we do need you.
What if people are sitting there saying, "Oh, I really resonate with everything you're saying, but I don't have anything to offer in terms of a
We
skill
get
set?"
that a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing.
We get that a lot, and you don't have to have a degree or certifications or whatever. If you have feedback, right? Because we also need feedback from people who might not have the certain skill set to do the things, but the feedback is important because everyone is going to be the one receiving what we're trying to give out. And so what would you want, in the world that you're living in? How can we talk about your values and needs, and what does that look like for you? And how can we meet you there? And so taking all of it into consideration, it's truly about feedback and contribution.
Awesome. Is there a way to join like a bigger group of some kind with it that's not necessarily for people who don't necessarily have the skills, quote unquote, but it's like just general, like where they would be part of the community? Is that an option?
Yeah, so that would be the Discord or the Facebook community page.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
Did you want to talk, you again, you lead the way, but do you want to talk about the other things that are coming up, the summit and the retreat?
Yeah, sure. Amanda, if you want to get into the whispers, you have a lot to say on that too. So
I'm like, I do. So we have an online summit that's been recorded already. So it is available for those who feel called to be a part of it. It's a 7-part series with the 11 videos all up. And it's basically like, I like to call it the little sister of the retreat that we're holding in August, and it's Whispers of Remembrance. So it really is focused in on your remembrance journey, and we've pulled together our amazing facilitators and special guests Ke'oni Hanalei and Natasha Kealoha to really share their wisdom and their remembrances through their own modalities and lineages. So it's very Mu based. It is very open as well. That's what I found when we were all part of it. Like it really activated parts of myself personally that weren't available to me before that. So we have Kalisha and Jennifer. They talk about motherhood and womb medicine, and they really go deep into what it is to be a mom and the divinity of that. We've got our talk with Brother Ke'oni, which is very Mu based, and it's actually like a little bit of a banter talk a little bit too. It's really cool. I really enjoyed that. And then we've got the call with Natasha that talks about those significant dates that Jen was talking about, and essentially like a broad map of what's happening right now as well, and how everything is kind of like back to back to back to back on top of each other, and giving us a really good look at what is happening within this time, especially leading up to the retreat as well, which is happening, like Jen said, on Lionsgate in Maui. And then we've got a storyteller. So when you were speaking about Uranus and Gemini and the storytelling, we actually have a storyteller in our facilitation team. His name is Nathan, and he has like this deep presence about himself that every time Jen and I like are in his sphere and he's speaking, we're just like, whew, like you can't jot away and be chaotic.
you can't
And
move.
Nathan's no, yeah, you're just like, I am stuck. I am like rooted into the ground, which is really cool. So we had a really, really good talk. And he took us through a very beautiful story that really brought forward a lot for me in my navigation through that. We have, do you see Jennifer and I pretty much the whole way through. Sisterhood of Mu had the beauty of hosting that, which we're super, super proud of. And we have also a sound healing journey with our brother Christian. So he used the actual instruments in the video. So he takes us all through this beautiful sound journey. There's a didgeridoo in there, there's chimes, there's crystal bowls. And yeah, he's got this really beautiful energy that helps activate as well. Like we did say, hey brother, it's got to be integrational and grounding, but we found it quite activating. So,
Yeah.
but it's all good. Like it is what it gets to be, right? It was just beautiful to watch him like channel through his medicine, and he's going to be there as well with his beautiful instruments at the retreat.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was such a combination. It was a big combination of everything that Jen and I are passionate about through our finding through each other and our remembrances and what we've brought into our spheres, and also what we get to do with our friends. Like how cool that we get to do something like that with our friends. Oh, and then of course I'm being told, hello, remember your one too. Yeah, so I did an ancestral journey. Like whoopsie. Yeah, so I took us through an ancestral voyage where we got to go and meet these parts of us through the waters of Lemuria. And yeah, that was really, really cool. And we went through doing some lineage mapping in the talk as well to really speak into what lineage means for both of us. And because the lineage ancestral part is my magic. That's my medicine. That's where if I look back at my whole life, it's always come back to this, but I didn't really know what I was doing or why I was linking into that. In the last couple of years, I've been really activated in my own lineage through various channels and various parts of my lineages as well, and it's become quite a something, must I say, quite a something. But yeah, so that's Whispers of Remembrance, and that's $77 USD, and you get that for life. And like I said, it's 11 videos, 7-part series, and it's all ready for you. Like when if you would like to come in, you get the link and you just can binge it, or you can take it at your own pace, at your own time, come back to it. We invite feedback, we invite the slowness as well. Like if you're anything like me, I get a little bit caught up and I just smash like half of it, and then like in what I'm watching, and then I like have to crash out for 2 weeks. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was too much. So yeah, it really is set at a pace where it's like you get to remember you. We're not here to teach you anything and tell you how you'd have to be or how to remember. We're here as the guides and support people to say, try this potentially or try that potentially. Find yourself in this mirror and find yourself in this mirror, like we have. So we're bringing the medicine that we have also experienced to our friends. Like this is also for us too. And that's been really big, is like we are also aware of our own living legacy and our own lineage medicine, that we get to share it with other people. And it's, yeah, super exciting.
Mhm.
Really beautiful. Sounds like almost one way maybe to describe it is like an immersion journey, non-linear, like I'm seeing different petals of a flower or something, and you just kind of can sink in to this flower of this journey in any place you feel called and any time. And
Mm,
it's like I would imagine your own being then gets supported to wake itself back up in your own way, in your own timing.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
exactly. That's a beautiful description. That's
I love
exactly
that
what that
too.
is.
I was like, that's it.
Like,
Thank you.
yeah.
I think what I want to add to what Amanda said is also, so the first ceremony that we're doing, the opening ceremony, is to really bring in, the tone. And the first speaker that we had as Ke'oni is to bring in that Mu tone about the frequency of love and why it's so important to be in self-reflective love. Because it's really hard to access even your ancestral lineage and what they've been through if you haven't established that right relationship. But also, it allows you to feel into how you need to come into that right relationship because of the generational trauma, the ancestral wounds that have been passed down to you that you no longer want to perpetuate, and that you're saying, I'm going to break this cycle. I'm going to be the one to innovate this lineage so that we can, work in patterns that are different than what was taught to us, different than what we inherited, because we have the choice now. We're in this generation where it's such a beautiful time where we get to say, hey, enough is enough.
mhm.
I want to create a world that's so loving and that I can fall back into and be like, oh, I don't have to worry. Like, I know I'm held by this community of people. I know I'm held by myself. I know I'm held by earth, by God, by the universe, and having so much trust in that, because it's really hard to trust that right now. And so we have to create that trust for ourselves. And so when we can bring ourselves back to that centering, and I bring us into like a regression meditation where we go into the void. And so it's through the womb that we go into the void, and then we go into the celestial, and then back into the body, and then out again. So it's kind of a regression and then a rebirthing out. So you get to hear the message that was given to you from your star lineages of your mission here on Earth and what that legacy can look like for you, should you choose it. And then you would come out through the canal again and be the living legacy of that message. And so that's within the mother energy talk with Kalisha and I. And then at the end, we talk about becoming the new ancestor and what that looks like. And we go through this beautiful meditation that I take us on, where we're holding hands with both our past and both our future, and we're the present bridge that's holding that all together. And we just get to hug each other and hold each other and bring that energy through us as the vessel. So I think that's going to be really beautiful for everyone to experience. And I would love to hear what comes through for everybody when they do that.
Sounds amazing. This is a whole conversation that we don't have time for right this
Yeah.
second. I'll just say this is just interesting timing. Just before we had this conversation earlier today, I was shown by my guides in my own, I was assuming this was more personal to me, but now as you're talking, I'm thinking maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I was shown, they said that one of my next kind of growth journeys in my own being is, they showed me my womb becoming golden, and then this like almost like a DNA helix going up from the golden womb, also golden, creating this, weaving up through my whole body, out the top of my head. And they said, yeah, we need you to basically allow your whole body system, but especially your womb and your heart, to reconfigure themselves. They know exactly what to do. This is part of this moment, this transition, and the role that I hold in the world. But I think maybe it's universal. I don't know. Maybe is this are you relating to this in some way, or?
Oh yeah. Whenever you speak into the womb and the heart space, right? And what we've learned through Aloha Ma and Brother Ke'oni is that that the feminine is the leader, and then she gives that instruction to the masculine. And so when you can heal the wounding of the masculine, and you're bringing that into the feminine to be held with love and to transmute that from wound to love, then you're able to walk this path of right relationship and being in that expression of what that leader, the feminine, wants you to bring forward. But it's through the transmutation of the wounding, right, that you get to do that. And it's not pretty sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of shadow work, right? And really being honest with yourself. And I just want to say that when we think of shadow work, sometimes we think it's scary, but I'm someone who loves to work with the shadow. And instead of shunning your ego and shunning the shadow, you have to make it your friend. You have to make it kind of like a mother to a child relationship too. You don't want to push them away or avoid them or neglect them. That's the worst thing you can do to your ego or to your shadow, because it just makes them feel even more alone and even more abandoned, right? And so when you can finally meet the shadow with love, it's kind of like meeting your inner child again and saying, this time I'm not going to abandon you. This time I'm not going to do the things that hurt you. This time I get to love you. And it's through you reparenting yourself and re-loving yourself, knowing that you're the one who's actually bringing yourself back into life.
Beautiful. I also am just noticing that we're having this conversation a few days before a new moon in Cancer, and I made a video about on my own, on my channel, about this new moon, and what I talked about, not surprisingly, is um, the opportunity right now for us to be bringing back the wisdom of our grandmothers, our ancestry, and honoring our inner child.
Yes.
That's
I love that. I love that because my moon is in Cancer and my grandmother's moon was also in Cancer.
I was just wondering. I wonder
Yeah.
where her moon is. Does she have really strong Cancer moon energy or something? Yeah,
Motherly vibes. Yeah.
yeah, I have very strong moon energy myself. So yeah,
Yeah.
I was like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's actually my grandmother who told me matriarchy, the word matriarchy in our last meditation with Ke'oni and Aloha. We had ended up in this temple, and what she had given to me in this temple, which was a home, it was this her prayer book and her rosary that she was so devout to. She was a woman of God, and she would every day pray for her family, pray for the world, pray for herself, and it was devotion. And that devotion was so inspiring to me because she was the kindest, most pure soul that I've ever known. And so when she handed me her prayer book and her rosary in this meditation, she said matriarchy. And I didn't know what that was 3 years ago when we did this. And I didn't know what it truly meant for me until now when Sisterhood of Mu is now formed. And I'm like, this is what she wanted. Now I get it. And it's just bringing in the beautiful guides of our grandmothers and sis too, like bringing in her grandmother. And I'm wondering, sis, like, what is grandma telling you?
Well, when we were, thank you for the invitation to share, actually. When we were dropping in before the call and we were just having our moment of silence, I understood inadequacy from a different point of view. So, spoiler alert from Whispers, there's this part in what the call with Ke'oni, and that just changed my life, which was inadequacy is self-abuse.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I have been like what is it, reeling in that ever since, and trying and understanding that. And when we came into, like I said, the moment of pause earlier, I understood inadequacy from my own perspective and how it was showing up for me as just being shying away from the power, or shying away from the bigness. And so my grandmother, she was right here with me. Oh, Nana Marcia.
Mhm.
And what she was showing me was that this piece of inadequacy that I've just been toying with, because I also have been like, but I feel totally all good as well. Like, why do I feel like there's this inadequacy piece, but I also feel like awesome? And it was because people always told me many, many times over, if I meet anybody in person, I walk in the room, they're like, holy moly, you bring a lot of people with you. A lot of people come with you. And I'm like, yeah, our tribe comes along. And it's just something that I've learned to live with. And I finally got to see what that meant for me. And because I was actually in contemplation about inadequacy this morning. And I was like, in that, I started to smile in that pause, because I just saw everybody here all coming in. And it was like, it's not that you're inadequate. You just keep shying away from all of this. And all of this isn't necessarily me, it's just a combination of everybody who walks with me, every being, every energy, every frequency that walks with me. And a lot of the time, because I'm used to it, I don't even know. And so when these pieces come up about being or shying away from, like how we even spoke, Martha, and I'm going to be fully transparent to everyone here. I actually mentioned to Martha that I hide in the back a lot. So she's observing me, making sure I say something. And I know Sis Jen would be doing the same, because she's been a witness of me shying, moving, holding myself back. So thank you both sisters for holding me in this space. I just, yeah, got to see this intensity of like this is just normal. This gets to be normal so long as you allow yourself to be open for it. And it's not to say that everybody is gonna experience inadequacy the same way as I am experiencing, or at least the echo or reflection of like you feel like that because your humanness sees you as this small human. But and so you're shying away from the magnitude. But that could be a reason as to why other people also experience inadequacy. And because I was never like abused in that way, but I created that abuse in myself. And it's through seeing my grandmother at the forefront with everybody else, like rocking up this morning, and it was just the room was full of light, and I'm like, okay, that's what this is. I've just been shying away from just being the spokesperson. I'm the spokesperson for my people. And when I put it that way in my head, I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound so scary now. I'm just there with the flag going, yeah, we're here too. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll just say that, yes, I absolutely relate. I completely feel fine and confident, 90 something percent of me, 99% of me. But actually, just in the last 3 days, I've been getting told by my guides, you are still not getting it. You still think of yourself this big when you're actually literally, we are all infinity, right? We are all source. We are all of it. And there's you have to fully embody all of actually who
Mm.
you are. So sorry. Sorry, not
Yeah.
sorry. That's
I love how I say something with my sister Anelani in Oahu. We have this conversation on our Zoom calls. And she and I have also experienced inadequacy in our own expressions. And so, whenever we get into that inadequacy feeling, we're like, sis, now you just got to walk in with audacity. Okay. So we snap and we go audacity because you are coming in hot, girl, with your energy. And that's what you need to bring forward. And I think what's resonant with a lot of us is we're afraid of our own power.
Mhm.
And I was afraid of my own power, and I had my ego death, dissolving of the ego is what I like to actually call it. When my friend, who's also a healer, had asked me, why are you afraid of your power? Like, why aren't you're here? You want to be here, but you don't allow yourself to be here, right? And I was just remembering, I was like, I was always told to stay small. I was
Mhm.
always told not to be seen. I was always told to be proper, that I couldn't express my emotions, that I wasn't allowed to express who I am truly because it was maybe not, you know, like my other members of the family. I was kind of like the black sheep of my family. And so when I realized that, I said, now it's time to step in because I feel like I'm being called. And then I just remember crying that day and walking outside. It was snowing and just had this weight lifted off of me of this inadequacy that finally was like, I'm going to bed now. You get to step forward now. Because it wasn't a fun thing for me my entire life. I would shut down completely with inadequacy for months. I would be in bed, just not thinking I'm good enough for this world. And finally stepping into that voice now of being the expression of who I am. In the last few years, especially in that embodiment of the Aloha Ma, then I was like, my gosh, what a life changer.
World changer.
World
World,
changer.
literally world
Yes.
changer. Yeah. That's the
Yes.
biggest thing I think I see with the people who tend to come to me or in my sphere, the spaces I hold. If I could like snap and have one thing change, um, it would be that people suddenly let go of this sense of inadequacy, shame that I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I can't do what you can do. I can't do what she can do. I can't do.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's so sad. It really breaks my heart. And I think we all have some version of that goes on. And literally would completely change the world if
Oh,
no, I don't want to say if, when, as
yeah.
we do that. And we are doing that. That is literally what we're doing in this conversation
Yeah.
together, doing that. Yeah, it's just radical shift.
I think that's what the beauty is of our sisterhood too, is that we get to be that for each other, reminding each of us that we are allowed to step into the light, to
We
spot.
need, we
Yes,
needed.
we need you to step up because we're all very unique in our medicine. So we can't do it all. We need you to come in with you and your medicine and contribute, and to stop hiding it. We need you to come forward. Um, and also the way that we can hold each other. Like me, Amanda has been there for me too. I've been there for her in her own integrations. And then also with Sister Natasha and everyone else who's in the council, we've all had conversations of our wounds and our inadequacies and what's coming up for us. But what's beautiful about the sisterhood is that we're not here to compete with each other. We're not here to compare ourselves. We're just here to really hold each other. And I know how it is. Like in this world that we've been living in, we've been taught to compare, we've been taught to compete with each other, especially women,
Mm.
very catty like, right? And so in the sisterhood, we know that it could happen because we're human, there's little inclinations that it can. But what I've wanted to bring into the sisterhood is this ho'oponopono aspect of administering that energy in a different way to hold us all in, being very honest with how we feel with each other in the council and saying, you know what, I'm actually feeling really insecure about this because of this. Can you help me with that? Instead of being judging her for something or, like, no, we're here to help each other. We're family. Like, that's what it is. The sisterhood is family. And we're not here to shun you. We're here to welcome you and to say, we can talk about this. It's bringing you into the sisterhood of womb of being held by the feminine. That's really what I feel for it.
Amazing. Before we close, do you want to talk now about the retreat? Because you're also holding this, so you have ready summit that people can join for $77, get all of the talks you just talked about. But in addition, in person in Hawaii, in Maui, go for it. You want to share about that?
Yeah. So I could talk about the schedule, sis, and if you want to go into maybe like what we're gonna also maybe do content-wise. So it's gonna be 3 days, 2 nights. And it's the first day, the opening is going to be the Lion's Gate ceremony. So this is where we get to bring in it's time to be yourself. It's time to bring that forward. And we're going to do an activation there, followed by a day of where we get to integrate that into a beautiful meditation by the waterfall. And then the next day is where we're going to go into Sis's ancestral healing and lineage mapping, kind of what we touch on in Whispers, but then going into the embodiment of it at the retreat. And then we're also going to be doing sound healing and Reiki, group Reiki. And at the end of that day, we'll be doing a water ceremony in front of the ocean. And then the next day would be our closing out ceremony of just bringing kind of the foundations of Whispers into the embodiment in the retreat. Oh yeah, and then the packages. There's a full immersion. So you want to talk about that, sis? The full immersion and the day packages?
Having a little technical difficulty over here.
Oh.
If you don't mind carrying on while I find the other part I need, thank you.
Oh yes. Okay. So for the full immersion is the 3-day, 2-night accommodation. That's at Haleakua in Haiku in Maui. And so you would all stay in a villa. It's for 8 people. There's only 8 spaces for that. And so you can give us a call if you want more information on that. And then we can go into the pricing and payment plans because there are payment plans. So the only things that wouldn't be included with that is the flights, visas if needed, extra transport or extra accommodations if you wanted to make your trip longer. And then we have the 2-day pass, which is more flexible for people who don't want to stay at Haleakua and want to find their own lodging. And that is $440 US. And that's including all the workshops and ceremonies on the 2 days. So the Lions Gate ceremony with the meditation by the waterfall, all the activations, and then the next day as well with the ancestral healing, the water ceremony, and the sound healing and Reiki. And then you can also, with both, choose if you want any one-to-one sessions with either of us facilitators who are in Whispers. So all the facilitators that are at the retreat are also in the Whispers, except for Ke'oni and Natasha.
Yeah.
And what would you like me to bring, sis? Because you just gave probably the best overview. Remembrance. I was like, oh, okay, cool, amazing.
Well, you wanted to talk about your Akashic journey, I think, with the stars, remember?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Thank you. So as there's an element coming through that about stargazing that wants to be really seen in this space. So I'm going to be bringing through some mātauranga from Aotearoa, so New Zealand wisdom, and which does link into the Polynesian islands, into like the stars and on the Lionsgate portal night. And there's gonna be like a double session happening. There's going to be like a cool ecstatic dance thing, and then for those who don't want to do the ecstatic dance because potentially tired or just want to chill, then I'm going to be hosting a stargazing elements and links into the lineages, the star lineages outside underneath of the Milky Way. And so that's going to be, yeah, like a really beautiful space that we get to co-create with us, with the stars and the star within, linking into our own aspects and the stardust, essentially, that we are all created from. And yeah, so that's going to be a channeled journey that we get to go through, and going to go through like the constellations that are visible in the sky at that time as well, and how they link into where we are in the moment. I'm really hoping, I don't think this is going to happen, but I'm really hoping we're going to see Scorpius in the sky, because that would just be really cool to be on Maui to
Maui's fish
see.
hook.
I
Yeah,
think you
Maui's
yeah, you should. It's starting to rise now here in California, so
okay, cool.
I almost sure you will be. I'm basically sure you will. Anyway, I can't speak for that,
Perfect.
but I would be shocked if you couldn't. This is exactly when it would be rising. Yeah. Hmm.
Well, the way things have been unfolding, I'm pretty sure it's going to be there.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Just like I'm not an astrologer,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
was just like, yeah, that'd be really cool to have that then and link into those stories. So I'm going to bring some purako or some stories around Maui, and that to also anchor into that frequency as well.
Yeah,
Wow.
and that would be on the first night, and those are for the people who are only doing the full immersion who are staying because it's at nighttime. So
Hmm.
those are the ones who are staying overnight at the villa with us.
Mm, incredible. Yeah, I'm teaching this again, a conversation that's way too long for right now, but this year I'm holding space for a star. It's called the Stars Speak, and it's a
Mm.
year-long thing, and we're basically being with the part of the sky that rises in the evening at that time of year. So right now we're with well, first we were with Polaris, which is the northern pole star, right?
Mhm.
Then we were with Vega and Lyra, then Cygnus and Deneb and um Aquila and Altair. But then this coming month we're with, like in July, we're gonna be with Scorpius, Ophiuchus, that whole section. So right, these 3 months we're basically with the part of the sky that's uh um everything associated with the Milky Way, like the rift,
Mhm.
the great rift of the Milky Way. And this is the
Mm.
time of the year when theoretically you should be able to see, if you're in a dark enough place, see that great rift of the Milky Way super powerfully. The thing I can't see here though is like the Southern Cross, which of course you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so I can't see the southern constellations, but amazing, amazing. Wow. Yeah, that will be so powerful.
Pretty sure we see Polaris from here.
I don't think so. Tell me if you do, 'cause
I'm pretty sure, because I use the star chart app and I'm like, look at the stars. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've seen Polaris maybe like
oh,
once in time in a year, and it was just great timing, but I
Yeah.
well,
totally have seen it.
oh, amazing. Yes,
Yeah.
that all sounds incredible.
I
Um,
think we should also mention too, lastly, about the retreat is that um, when I met Sis, she and her friend Kalisha were the ones organizing it. And then when I had met her, I was in Maui in January of this year. And I said, for some reason, I feel like I'm going back to Maui. And then I met her. And then she's like, hey, do you want to come on this retreat? And I was like, where is it? She's like, Maui. I'm like, oh God, are you serious?
And
um,
And
that was decided in January. You were on Maui when we
I
decided
was
that.
already in Maui in January. I didn't even know you yet. So yeah. And then so that's how the name Remembrance came, just because we've been guided by our memories and the remembrance of Mu.
yeah, you are, I mean, wow. Yeah, I don't want to speak for you at all, but I can just feel it. You're so, to me, feels like you're being so powerfully guided, not even subtly, just like,
Yeah,
like,
it's like
here we
we're
go.
here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Is there anything else either of you feel called to say?
Hmm. There was something that stepped forward when you said star speak, because I have my part is called ancestor speak. So there was like this resonance when you said that, and then I was like, oh, stars, ancestors, oh my gosh. Like it all just kind of like played out really quickly in my head. That's one or two presence there. But yeah, like it was wordless. It was like a whole like remembrance in that moment. But star speak and ancestor speak, how that's all like can, yeah,
Well,
that
I'll just
makes
say
sense.
something. So I mean, this is again yet another conversation that we don't have time for. But So I'm channeling a series of books called, it's 8 books called the Living the One Light series. Okay, so the first 3 are published. One is Living the One Light, but then the other ones are all, one is Gaia Speaks, the Cosmos Speaks, and then the next ones are Love Speaks, the Goddesses Speak, the Gods Speak, the Crystals Speak, and then the Light Speaks.
Mm.
Wow. It's a lot of speaking. They
Yeah.
allowed.
And I love this is all the voice, and that's
Mm.
Leo, right? Leo, the voice. And Lionsgate happening on the retreat is all about that expression, to voice this all out, to finally be the messenger, and to finally
And Uranus entering Gemini also about the voice. Wow, wow,
Mhm.
wow. Hmm.
we are the voices of Mu.
Oh, when you bring up Leo, I think of like connecting the heart with
Mhm.
the voice too. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Incredible.
Mhm.
Amazing.
This is what the sisterhood gets to be about. Conversations like this, and we're like, oh yeah, and it just all comes in.
Beautiful.
And then
Yeah.
4 hours later.
Yeah.
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 Well, do you have a way that you would like to close this space?
Yeah, sis has a beautiful way of closing us out all the time.
Awesome. And is there anything else you want to say before we do that? I will put, of course, all of your links here with the video. I can send them out, and I'll send them out on an email as well. And so all the practicalities we can take care of. But any other thing?
So thank you. Thank you so much for this space, for having us here and allowing us to speak to your audience. And then, of course, the invitation for those who feel called to remember, like follow your remembrance. You don't know where it's going to take you, and that's probably the most fun part. Let the call take you. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I think for me, I would just like to say that, I know that everything feels really unstable and uncertain right now for a lot of people in the world, but always choose love. No matter how hard it gets, always choose love. And it's always going to lead you on the right path. And you'll remember who exactly you are.
Amazing. I'm getting shown that golden womb again, rising up with the golden light, connecting with the heart, connecting with source, connecting with the heart of earth.
Mm,
And when you say come back to love, that's what my being or my guides or something, that's what I'm being
I
shown.
love that. And I love how gold is with Leo yellow.
Oh.
Mhm.
Mm. Wow.
Happy for me to complete? Cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, sisters. I invite us all to close down our eyes once again, keeping our chin held high, inviting us all for a breath of nourishment, a breath of peace, a breath of remembrance, a breath of invitation, a breath of activation, and a breath of integration. Becoming present, becoming whole, and remembering our sacredness. Thank you for your time, for your energy, for your attention. We hope that in communion with us today, no matter what time that you watched or we're a part of this, as time is an illusion and the divine knows no space, no direction, just all is. That you have received what you needed to receive from our korero today. Te aorangi te pō e papa whakawhitia te mātou ranga whakapumetia te maramatanga. Hei mau, hei pupuri, mō ngā rā ka heke, he koia te ngākau tangohia te atawhai. Tō mai te rā, no mai te pō, tawana te rangi māri e. Ti hei, mauri o rā. Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you. Thank you all for being part of this. And of course, we would love to hear what's coming alive for you, anything you want to share. And thank you both so, so much.
Thank you. We're so grateful for you.
Thank you so much.